What is up, everybody? Welcome to today's workshop on advanced techniques of how to use tracks in worship. I hope you join me for the beginning workshop, which was on Tuesday, where we covered all the basics of what you need to know to use tracks in worship. We went over the Prime app, we went over how to purchase tracks, the different types of track products. We talked about building a set list, customizing arrangements, how to use a MIDI controller, and some basic audio routing. But today we're going to dive in even deeper and do some more advanced techniques. I'm going to show you some really cool hardware that we've got. And I'm going to show you some more features we have for sharing set lists with your team members so that they can rehearse at home, how to sync lyrics with ProPresenter, and how to keep all your set lists in sync across all your devices. We're going to dive into a lot of more advanced techniques today. I'm really glad you're with us today. For everybody who joins and watches the class today, I'm going to be giving out at the end of this class a promo code for 20% off all Loop Community hardware. So if you've been in a position where you've been waiting to buy that track rig or the Looptimus or maybe the Looptimus Mini that I showed you last week, well, you're in luck. Today, at the end of the class, I'm going to give you a promo code that you can use to get 20% off all Loop hardware just for the next 2 days. So stay tuned for that. I'm glad you guys are here. Thanks for joining us. My name is Matt McCoy. I'm the founder of loopcommunity.com. I'm a worship leader. I'm very passionate about teaching worship leaders how to use tracks in worship. I've been using tracks for over 20 years, and track technology has come such a long way since when I first started using tracks. Back when I first started using tracks, you'd load up like a QuickTime audio file and just press play and hang on and hold on, and you had to follow the track. But now, with today's technology, the track can follow you. You could tell the track to jump to the chorus if you want to go to the chorus, or if you want to repeat a section, you can repeat a section. I love where tracks have gone over the past 20 years, and I'm excited to talk more about that with you today. So I hope that you're joining us on YouTube, Facebook. We are live right now. If you guys have any questions, type them into the chat. Our team members are there to help answer questions, and we're going to dive in. So where we left off from our beginner class, and by the way, if you did not see our beginner class, just go to our YouTube or our Facebook page and you can rewatch that. But where we left off was we were talking about basics of audio routing. And I showed you how you could just use a headphone jack to get the audio out of your computer into your sound system. Well, what I want to start with today is how do you get your audio out into an audio interface? So the benefit of using an audio interface is that instead of just sending all your tracks out of one output, that then your sound team has one fader, everything up or everything down, what you can do is you can actually break up all of your tracks out of their own output. So that way your sound team could turn up the tambourines or turn them down, or turn up the electric guitars, or adjust the volume of the bass or the synth. So you give your sound team more control, which is actually way better. They're going to be able to get a much better mix if they have control over the volume of the individual instruments. So what I want to show you is, let's actually look at the website. We have a product at Loop Community that we developed to make this really, really simple, and it's called Track Rig. If you go to products and just search for Track Rig, you'll find Track Rig here. And Track Rig is an interface that we developed at Loop Community that is super simple, plug and play. It is an interface that you plug in to your computer via USB, and on the front of the interface, it gives you 8 XLR outputs. So many interfaces today, most interfaces have a ton of inputs, and worship leaders were buying these interfaces but never utilizing the inputs. So we're like, why not just make an interface that just gives you what a worship leader needs, and that's outputs and XLR line level outputs. So high quality, very loud outputs. So that's what Track Rig is. Plug it in via USB, you get 8 XLR outputs, and you can send your tracks in Prime out of any of those outputs. So I could send the click here, the drums here, bass here, guitars, piano, synth, whatever you want to do. You get to customize it. That's the beauty of Track Rig. So I'm going to show you today, we're going to start with Track Rig. I'm going to show you how you can plug that into your sound system. I have a Track Rig with me right here. This is what it looks like. All right. and very lightweight. You can actually rack mount it if you want. It comes with we sell ears for free. Actually, you just pay for shipping that you can attach here, and you can put it in a rack mount. You could rack mount it forward facing or backward facing. The other really cool thing about this interface is it has 4 USB jacks in the back. This is great for plugging in a Looptimus foot controller or you know, a hard drive, or charging your phone or charging your iPad. I actually did that this past week. I had my iPad in here charging it. Worked really well. Anyways, I'm going to come out of here. So what I'm going to do is I've got it plugged in with power. And let's go ahead and plug in the USB cable. I've got one here. And let's pull up Prime. I'm going to show you how easy it is to route your audio inside of Prime. We made this very, very simple. So you plug it in via USB. You notice the outs button right here is going to light up. Well, it will light up once I choose the device. So you go to your devices and you choose where you want the audio to be sending to. So we're going to send the audio to the Loop Community Track Rig. And now you'll see the lights button lit up. And that means that it's connected to Track Rig. So all you're going to do now at this point is click on outs, and you can go through each of these channels and choose if you want it to send out of a stereo pair. So if I want this clap track to go out of a stereo pair, now it's going to go out of stereo 1 and 2. So it's going to go out of 1 and 2 on the track rig right here. Or a stereo pair of 3, 4, or 5, 6. Now, most people are going to want these to go out mono sends. So for clap, let's just say I want all my percussion to go out 8. So now I change that to 8. Cymbals, I'm going to send that to 8. Effects is going to be 7. Kick is 5. And again, this is really just depends on your setup and how you want to route your audio. I personally always send the click and the cues down here out 1. And I do that just because it's number 1, it's easy to remember. But also click and cues are just by default always set to output 1. So keep your click and cues out output 1. But then I usually send like keys out 4, guitars out 3, and percussion out 2. I did that backwards, but really, it's really just personal preference. You can send these now out of any of the outputs that you want. I can choose, just cycle through 1 through 8. I can choose whatever outputs I want these to go out of. Once you've done that, let's go and press play. You'll see the track rig is lighting up with all the different, it's showing the different outputs. You can't really see with the focus. Here we go, I'll pull it back. It's showing you, all the different audio that's coming out of these outputs. And you plug this into your sound system right into the snake on your stage. And that's it, you guys. Seriously, it's that easy. Now, we are working on a brand new version of Prime that is going to make routing audio a lot easier. Because right now it's pretty manual. Like you have to, do what I just did, but then you have to do that for the next song. You go to your next song and make the same audio output adjustments. We are going to be rolling out a new version of Prime, hopefully later this year in beta, that will have auto routing. So you could actually in settings say, hey, I always want guitars to go out output 6. And then you can just change that. And then when you plug in Track Rig on all of your songs, guitars go output 6. That is something we're working on because I know personally, because I use this every single week as a worship leader. And for me personally, I'm like, man, that's kind of a pain that I have to go through each one of these one at a time. It takes probably on a Sunday morning when I'm setting it up, it probably takes me 5 to 10 minutes to do it. But I have to be pretty focused on it. But, if you're doing this ahead of time, no problem, no big deal. It's easy to do, but I just want you to know that we are going to be improving it in that way. So that is Track Rig, and you could use any audio interface. You could use, a PreSonus or like a Motu interface. You could also use Dante. If your computer is set up to use Dante at your church, you could also just choose Dante from this list, and you can choose from 1 to 100, all the outputs Dante gives you. So it's very easy to use multi-outs on Prime. Let me show you this diagram. This just shows you real quick how you would be setting it up. Obviously, it's the same thing. You just come out a snake into your soundboard. You can adjust the volume just like that. Okay, so we talked about more advanced audio routing, Dante or Track Rig. There you go. Again, if you want 20% off TrackRig, hang on to make sure you join Messa for the end of this workshop. I'm going to give a promo code out to everybody. Let's go ahead and talk about MIDI mapping. So we did a very basic version of that when we were talking about the Looptimus Mini. I showed you this 3-button controller that you can use to do start, stop, next. Very basic, right? This is a very easy, simple USB controller. 3 buttons, but 6 different messages it can send. 1, 2, 3, and then press and hold 4, press and hold 5, press and hold 6. Really great. I love the Looptimus Mini. I use that every week. But the original controller that Loop Community designed back in 2012 is called the Looptimus. And this is a brand new version of Looptimus. This is called the Looptimus Plus. The Looptimus Plus has wireless capabilities. So you don't have to plug it in via USB. You can if you want, but you can also just turn it on and connect wirelessly to Prime to control your tracks. This is an awesome controller to use. What's crazy about this wireless version of Looptimus Plus is that the battery lasts about a week. Literally, I've had this thing on for a week and it will not die. So you could have this on all weekend long and you'll be fine. The other thing too is that the connection strength is really good. Surprisingly good. Honestly, when we were developing this, we thought we would maybe get 15 feet out of it. But I actually tested this where I had this connected to my computer in my basement of my house, and I went upstairs, walked outside, stood on the sidewalk, and it still was connected. I don't even know how that's possible, but it worked. So we've heard a lot of people say that this has really strong connection. It's just not dropping connection in your church. Anyways, the Looptimus, I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. Let me go and show you how this works. So I'm going to plug it in to the computer. I'm going to change my audio outputs back to where it needs to be. The Looptimus has a mode on it called default mode, which what it does is it gives you, and maybe we can actually just show this up, big. So you can kind of see, I'll try to get this in a position where you can see it. You'll see that we are on bank number 1. So there are 20 banks, and you can use the next and previous buttons to get through those banks. Let me see if I can get even closer. Will it focus? It might. And you can use the next and previous buttons to get through those banks. Now think of a bank as a song or pages. You've got 20 pages, and then each page has A, B, C, D, E, and F. All right, these are buttons that you can assign to anything. It could be the intro, the verse, the pre-chorus, chorus, outro, whatever you want it to be. And then there's a global stop button. So this could be like your emergency stop switch. If you're like, hey, we got to stop all the tracks, you press stop, and it's going to kill all of the track audio. So that's one way to set it up. Let me just show you how I would map that inside of Prime. So if you go to Prime and you click on MIDI, anything that you see that has a white box on it can be mapped to a button on the Looptimus. So let's just look at a very basic way you could set this up. You could have song 1 be button 1A, song 2 be button 1B, song 3 be button 1C, and D. We'll just stop there. And then I'm going to make my global stop button right here the stop button. You just map it. Okay, and then we'll close out MIDI. And when you want to play song 1, you press button 1, and it launches song 1.
Intro, 2, 3, 4.
If you want song 2, you press button 2, and it launches song 2.
Intro, 2, 3, 4.
Right? So you could map it like that. You could also add in a little bit more advanced mappings. Like let's just say you want to have the repeat button be, button F. So that way, if you ever want to repeat a section, your repeat button is right at your footsteps. So let's just say we're in the beginning of House of the Lord, and I want to repeat this section over and over and over and over.
3, 4.
I'm going to press the F button. It turns on the repeat toggle, and it's going to repeat the intro again.
Intro, 2, 3, 4.
And I can press stop to stop. Now, another way to customize this would be, let's go back to MIDI. I'm going to clear all by just choosing erase, okay? And I'm going to make the global stop button the stop button, all right? I'm going to make button 1 be the song, okay? Button 1A, that starts the song. But then I'm going to be a little bit more customizable on this one. I'm actually going to have the verse be button B, the chorus be button C, and maybe the bridge be D, and the outro be E. You can make it whatever you want it to be. So now check it out. I could be in song 1. All right, we're playing it.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
And let's just say I want to go to the chorus. Okay, maybe I did not map that correctly. Yeah, I was actually clicked. I was on the wrong song. So right here, let's just delete that one. Okay. What we're going to do is we're actually going to make this. I was on the wrong song. We're going to make this song. There we go. So you have to make sure you're selected on the right song when you're mapping those. That's for sure. So let's start the song. And let's just see when we go to the chorus.
Chorus 2.
I press the chorus
3,
button.
4.
And we jump right to the chorus. Let's go back to the verse. Now it's going to wait until this entire section is done playing, and then it's going to go to the verse. Verse 1.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
So you can really have the tracks follow you. You can tell the tracks to do whatever you want to do. So let's just say I want to go to the bridge. I'm going to press the bridge button. And when we're done singing the verse, it's going to jump to the bridge.
Bridge 2, 3, 4.
And you're in time with the click and everything. So now what I would do is on my second or my third song, I would go to bank 3. So this is our third song. And then I would do the same kind of mapping on the third song. You guys get it? So every song has its own bank. So bank 1, bank 2, and then here's song 3. This is going to be 3A. And then the verse is going to be, 3B. The chorus is 3C. The bridge is 3D, We don't really have a bridge in this song, but let's just say it's the instrumental. You can map it however you want. And that's just the beauty about Looptimus, is you can customize it to work however your mind works. As a worship leader, some people aren't very spontaneous. Some people want to be very spontaneous. What's great is that you can set this up to however you operate as a worship leader. So now I'm on song 3. I could start song 3. Starts my song. I could jump to a different section.
Chorus 2,
like right to the chorus.
3, 4.
So you can really be very spontaneous with Looptimus. There's a bunch of other stuff this controller does. And if you're interested in diving into more about Looptimus specifically, we have a lot of YouTube videos about that. So just go to YouTube, search Looptimus, and you'll learn a lot of things about pad mode. Like you can use this to play piano with your feet if you want to just add like a pad under a prayer or to transition between songs. You can send program changes with it. You can plug in a volume pedal if you want to adjust the volume of your tracks. So there's a lot you can do with this, but I wanted to show you basically the advanced way to use a controller with running your tracks in Prime. Because in the beginner class, we really just talked about the Looptimus Mini and how you just set it up for start, stop, next. But with the Looptimus, you can really customize your song flow and be spontaneous by jumping to a chorus or a bridge. Really, really awesome things you can do with the Looptimus Plus. Make sure you go check out looptimus.com if you're interested in that. All right, let's put that away. I'm going to go ahead and clear all my MIDI mappings just so we're on a clear slate here. The next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about uploading your own tracks into Prime. So we did not cover this in the beginner session. I'm going to go and click on load set list, and we're going to make a brand new set list, and we're going to call this September 15th. Okay. And we're going to have a completely blank slate. Now, there's people who maybe you buy your tracks from somewhere else. Maybe you make your own tracks. Maybe you've bought a track, but you edited it, like you chopped it up in Ableton Live or something. And anyways, you're wanting to get that audio into Prime. How do you do it? Well, you don't do it through the Prime interface. You do it through the Loop Community website. So what we're going to do is we're going to click under my profile picture and just click on Prime Cloud. This is going to show me all of my tracks. If you click on Prime Uploads, it shows you all of your custom uploads that you've uploaded to Prime. Now, these are not purchases. These are custom uploads. So you can see how much space I have left. I have a ton of space left. If you need more space, you can purchase that under Pro. You can purchase more space if you need it. Every account comes with 300 megabytes for free. Oh, I keep doing that. So let me show you how you actually upload a track. I'm going to click the upload button in the top right corner of the screen. And you'll see it's going to ask me, hey, Matt, what do you want to do? Like, how do you want to use this track? There's two options, personal use or for sale. So this for sale, this is more for people who are community producers who upload tracks to sell on the website. This is not what you're wanting to do right here. If you're wanting to use it in Prime, you choose personal use, and then it's going to say drag your files onto this screen. Now your files have to be inside of a zip, and they should be MP3, WAV, or MP4. So I have a sample track here. These are all WAV files for a song, House of the Lord. They're all WAV files. Now, just because the upload time could take a while, I'm going to, let's just make a zip of just a couple audio files. So we're going to do acoustic, bass, click, cues, drums, electric, pad, percussion, piano, synth 1, synth 2. And let's throw the vocals in there. I'm going to right click and compress it. It's going to make a zip file. And this is actually still a pretty large zip. So we're going to zip it up. There are a lot of times people don't know how to make a zip file, and that's exactly how you do it. You just right click if you're on a Mac and choose compress. And now what we're going to do is we're going to upload that to Prime Cloud once this is finished. And hopefully it doesn't take too long to upload. I should have just had this prepared like a cooking show, right? You pull the cookies out, they're done 30 minutes later. All right, so we have an archive. I'm going to drag and drop that right here. It's uploading the audio file. Now, hopefully this is not going to take too long. If it does, we can always come back to it. And in fact, we might just do that. So we're going to come back to this while this is uploading. What we're going to do in the meantime is we're going to start building our set list, okay? Because we're going to need a set list for the rest of the features I'm going to show you. So let's go ahead and click Add Song. We're going to start adding some of the songs in that we want for this weekend. We're going to do Oh Praise the Name. We're going to do Oh Praise the Name. We're going to do Cornerstone. I'm just searching for these. This is my track library. If you were in the beginning session, you know how this all works. Pretty simple, pretty easy to use. Then we're going to do Pull In. God, I Look to You. I love that song. We do God, I Look to You. Okay. Now what we're going to do is let's go and just set up some of our transitions. So we're actually going to do God, I Look to You first. Okay, and we're going to transition. I'm going to turn on crossfade. We're going to crossfade out of the song into the name. Let's see how this sounds. That's a long, big ending. So that's way too long of a transition. You can see it's still. So this is a great example because what you do here to fix this is just go on the first song and trim the end time down by maybe 10 seconds, right? We want to transition a lot faster than that. So let's see how this sounds.
Intro, 2, 3, 4.
All right, so now we're into Oh Praise the Name. We're going to transition out of Oh Praise on demand here. And let's just see how this transition sounds.
2, 3, 4.
All right, I want this to be way, way farther back. So let's go back to Oh Praise the Name. We're going to change the end time. Let's pull it back. I want it to start right away. So let's try this.
2, 3, 4.
Cool. So it started
Intro,
transitioning
2,
right away,
3,
right on the downbeat.
4.
I want those transitions to be super tight. Now, let's go ahead now and bring in, let's go and look and see if our upload is still going. Wow, this is still uploading. We might need to do a much smaller file just because this could take a while. So I'm going to stop this. Sorry, you guys. Let's just make a different one. I'm going to do click, cues, acoustic, and drums. Okay, I'm going to compress this. Let's upload this one. Because I would like to show you how you can add section markers to a custom upload. So I'm going to drag and drop. Let's go ahead and upload this. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a pad to this set list. I'm going to do Prime Pad. And we're going to throw this pad in right here. We're going to drop it in right in between here. And I'm going to use Crossfade on Demand to go from this pad into the next song. So Crossfade on Demand is just that when you have Crossfade turned on, you can press the next arrow at any time and it's going to go into the next song. All right, so my pad is coming in. I'm now going to speak, maybe pray, read a scripture, whatever it is I want to do. And whenever I'm ready to go into the next song, I can just press the next arrow and it's going to crossfade on demand whenever I'm ready. So let's press next. And by the way, we have to have crossfade turned on. You press next.
Intro,
and now we're crossfading
2,
right into Oh
3,
Praise the Name.
4.
Great. Okay, so what I want to do is this God I Look to You song 2, it's a little bit too long. I'm going to edit the arrangement. I'm going to right click on these bridges and delete them. Now, what I want to do as I've customized this song, I want to save this arrangement to my library. And what you can do with a Loop Pro subscription is you can actually save that arrangement to your library so that you have it in the cloud and available to you on all your devices. So let me pause there just for a second and show you Loop Pro. If you click on Pro features at the top of the website, there are a bunch of additional features you can get with a Loop Pro subscription. So you can get more storage space for uploads if you want. These do not count against purchases. But one feature you get are Prime arrangements. And that is the ability to save arrangements to your account in the cloud. So I could save this arrangement, after I've done all that work, and I could save it as Matt's workshop version. And it's now saving that version to my Prime Cloud account. So now if I pull up my phone, Prime on my phone or on my iPad, I can access that version of God I Look to You anywhere. Because without a Loop Pro subscription, any changes you make to a song are saved just at the local setlist level. Well, this way it saves to your Prime Cloud account so you have it. Let me show you where it is. If you click Add Song, and now if I search for God I Look, check this out. When you click on the song, it drops down all of the arrangements that are available to you. So I've got the original version here, or I've got Matt's workshop version, which is the one we just created. You can delete that version if you want. You can also see all your versions on the website by just clicking on Prime Cloud and go to Prime Library. And if I search for God I Look to You, you'll see my arrangements right here, Matt's workshop version. I could rename it, remove it, so you can actually manage all of your versions from the web, which is a really great feature of a Loop Pro plan if you have that. So if you're just wanting some more advanced features with Prime, check out Loop Pro. Just click on Become a Pro at the top of the site. So that's Prime Arrangements. You can save your custom arrangements. The other thing you can do is you can save set lists. So you can currently save set lists, but they're saved to your local device, meaning if I created a set list, it's only going to be on my Mac. It's not going to be on my iPhone or my iPad. But with a Loop Pro plan, you can actually save set lists to the cloud. And you get this button up here that says sync. What this does is it basically saves your set list to the cloud. It also checks the cloud for if there are any changes or updates. So let's go and save this set list to the cloud. It's saved it there. Let's go and I'm going to show you on the website where you can find that. If you go to Prime Cloud and choose Prime Set Lists, you can see all of the set lists that you've created. So these are my real set lists that I use for church. But here's the one we just created, September 15. I can click on it. I can, here's my songs. I could rearrange them if I wanted to. Like, let's move Cornerstone here. I could add another song. Let's just say I want to add Lion and the Lamb. I can make changes to my set list right here on the website. Then, when I go to church and my iPad is up on stage, I can pull up my iPad, click sync. It's going to check to see if there's been any updates to the set list. And it's going to pop up here in a second and say, yes, we've found changes. What do you want to do? So it says there's a new version available. What do you want to do? Do you want to update or do you want to keep working on the one you're working on? I'm going to click update and check it out. It reordered my set list. It also brought in Lion and the Lamb. So it updated my set list based on what I did here, which is really, really cool. This is actually how I build set lists. I love building set lists on the web. I don't know why. I just like the experience. So I click on Add New Set List, and let's just say I'm adding a set list for this weekend. I create a new set list. Then I go in here and search for the songs I want, Goodness of God or whatever. Add my songs to my set list. And then when I go to church, I pull up my iPad, click on Load Set List, and check it out. This weekend is right here, and I can click it, and it'll load that set list onto my device. Pretty awesome. I love the ability to be able to save set lists in the cloud. If you're using Prime on a regular basis, that's a huge benefit of a Loop Pro subscription, is being able to sync your set list between all of your devices. You could be at a coffee shop building a set list on your phone or customizing it, moving the arrangement around, changing the key. And then when you get back to your office, it's all updated on your Mac as well. So keep your set list all in sync together. That's a great feature of Loop Pro is Prime Set Lists. Now, I think maybe our upload is done. So let's go back to this. All right, it says 100%. So let's click Continue. And now it's going to say, give us some more information about the song. So I don't even remember. What was the song? House of the Lord, 86, B flat. Okay. So I'm going to call this House of the Lord. We'll call it Custom. The artist is Phil Wickham, I think, on this one. 86 BPM. You want to type in the BPM. Let me make sure I got that right. Yep, 86. The time signature is 4/4, and the key is B flat. Now, if you put this in wrong, it's gonna cause problems when you're trying to add section markers. But you can always fix it later. You can actually change this number in your Prime upload page. So let's hit continue. It identified automatically the track names for those songs. You can press this button to sample it, just to make sure. But it's kind of a cool way. We designed it so it's very smart in that it identified the track name. You could change it if you want to change it. Make sure your click and cues are named correctly because that's how it will know to show up as a red fader in the app. Let's click continue. It said, great job, Matt McCoy. You've arrived to the final step. Let's submit it. It says it's been uploaded successfully. You can use it in the Prime app. Let me just show you where it is. So let's go to Prime Cloud, Prime Uploads, and here it is, House of the Lord Custom Upload. If you need to make changes to maybe you typed in the tempo wrong, you can just click on these three dots and choose Edit Track Details, and you can make changes to anything you need to here. You can add album art, which, by the way, doesn't really work in the app currently, but the new version of Prime will have album art in it. key, tempo, you can make all those changes you need to. You can also delete it if you're maybe need more space or or it was a mistake. So let's go to Prime and let's click on Add Song and let's find our custom upload. You can find all your custom uploads right here under Cloud Uploads, or you could search for it. And here it is, House of the Lord. Let's go ahead and download it. We're going to add it to our set list. And we've got it. Now it's only a couple tracks. Notice that there's no section markers. That's because we have to enter those. So you could, if you want, just play it without section markers. It'll still work. Not a problem. You can skip around
3,
and
4.
but it's great to have section markers because then you can see where in the song you are. To add section markers, it's very easy. You just click Edit and go to Edit Markers. And now it added a grid to my timeline. Now, we have people who say, well, my grid's not matching up with my track. If that is the case, that is because you didn't enter the tempo correctly. That is always the case. You did not, well, two things. You either did not enter the tempo correctly, or your original files that you uploaded didn't start on beat 1 on the downbeat at the very beginning. Like maybe when you exported them, you missed a beat. So make sure when you're exporting audio, you export it from the downbeat on beat 1. And make sure you're entering the time signature and the tempo in correctly. If you do that, you will not have a problem. Trust me. This grid will line up with the grid on the tracks. So now all you do is when you're ready, you just double click and you can add a marker. So let's just say this is the intro. I can just click add. And then right here, let's just say this is the verse. I can click add verse 1 by just double clicking. Let's add another. Let's just say this is verse 2. Double click. All right. And I'm zoomed in here. You could zoom out if you want to do it that way. I like actually listening to the song. And I'm going to press pause when I hear the next.
Turn around. 2,
All right.
3, 4.
So right there is a intro. So I'm going to add the intro in again. And let's go and zoom over. Let's go and play over here.
Verse 2.
All right. I'm going to hit
3.
pause because I know the verse is coming up right here. So I'm going to double click, choose verse 2, or it's actually verse 3. And that's what I would do. I would just use the play and pause button as it's playing. And when you hear cues, you pause it and add the section marker.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
All right, so I know the chorus starts right here. So I'm going to double click and add the chorus. Now you can zoom out. What's really cool is you can actually move these around by just dragging and dropping these. And they kind of flip around. We made it just so it's really simple, really intuitive. When you're done, when you've added all your markers, which by the way, you always want to add an end one. So I'm going to double click here and choose end. You want to do that so that your transitions all work correctly. If you do not add an end marker, sometimes crossfade will not work the way you're wanting it to. So make sure you add an end marker, hit save, and now I have section markers in this track. Once you've added section markers, you can actually use things like the dynamic
Intro
click
2, 3, 4.
and different cue sounds.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
If you do not add section markers, you cannot use dynamic click and cue sounds. Basically, what ends up happening is it uses the click and the cues that you uploaded originally. So that is how you upload your own audio into Prime, how to add section markers to it. It's really easy. If you need more space, you can always get that by just signing up to a Loop Pro plan. These songs are really small. So like that one we just uploaded was 26 megabyte. Other ones that I've done that are full band are like this one, 83 megabyte. Usually 79. I would say on average, full song uploads are about 100 megabyte. All right. So this is a ton of space. This is more than most people will ever use in their lifetime. So you would probably be totally fine with a 50 gig cloud starter. That is so many songs you cannot even believe. All right. I think that's like I have to do the math on that, but it's like 500 songs or something of us custom uploads. All right. So that is a feature of uploading tracks. I wanted to go over that. We don't talk about that a ton, but it's something that I know people are doing. The other feature I want to talk about is Prime Teams. This is a big one. This is what people always ask about too is, hey, how do I share a set list with my band members? So you build a set list. How cool is it that you could actually share that set list with your team so that they can get the set list on their phone at home and practice and listen to their parts? It's really easy to do. All you do is go to Prime Teams and you create a team. So I called this one Loop Community Church. And you can add people to your team. So I've got these people on my team. I'm going to go ahead and remove them. All right. All you need is you can invite people via email. If you want to invite your team members, you can click edit members and invite them from just a username. So let's just say I'm looking for like Jonathan Berrigan. I'm going to add him, and now he's on my team. You can add them by their username, or you can invite them via email. Once they're on your team, you can go to your set lists right here, click on a set list, and choose Add Members. And from this screen, you can add what people you want to that set list. We are going to be releasing a feature soon where you can actually add an entire team. So let's just say you have like Team A, Team B, Team C, which is like a preset group of people. We're going to be adding a feature here soon where you could actually just add like, hey, I want to add all of my band A or all of my band B. So anyways, these people now have access to this set list. If they log into Prime on their computer or their iPad or iPhone, they can click on Load Set List and choose Shared with Me. And they're going to see all the set lists that have been shared with them, and they can download that set list and play with it and practice it. What's so awesome is they can listen to this whole set list and know exactly how it's all going to flow, what the click sounds like, what the arrangements of the song are. But even better, they can solo their part and learn it. So if the electric guitar player wants to learn, what is that electric part? They can just solo it. Or the drummer can be like, oh, here's how the drum goes. And they can practice it at home on their own time and then show up to Sunday morning really prepared. I love the shared set list feature. It really, really helps enhance, just makes everything go a lot smoother because then people show up really prepared and they can do it at home on their own time. The more we can resource our teams that way, the better and more effective leadership will be on Sunday morning. So I really encourage you to take advantage of Prime team sharing. Now, here's one quick note about that. If they make any changes to the key or the tempo, or they decide to customize the arrangement at all, moving these things around, don't worry. It will not save over your original set list. So if your band member makes changes, they're not going to be editing and messing up your original set list. It's only affecting their local set list on their device. Your master set list is safe. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about in today's workshop is a big feature, and that is MIDI out. How do you control lyrics with Prime? This is a really simple thing to do, but there are steps you have to follow to do it. We have to get an app like Pro Presenter or Media Shout or Easy Worship or Presenter to all talk with Prime. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to use House of the Lord. I'm going to bring House of the Lord into this set list. We did add that custom version, but I want a different version. Okay, I'm going to bring in House of the Lord. Okay, let's make sure it plays. So I'm going to use, for this example, I'm going to use Pro Presenter, which most of you guys know what Pro Presenter is. It's software for running lyrics on a screen. And I can go through the song and click on these slides. But how do I automate these so that as the song in Prime is playing, how does it actually automate and play through these songs? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to establish a connection between these two apps. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to use something called the IAC driver. So I'm going to go to Audio MIDI Setup, and you can do this on any Mac. It's built into the Mac. Something called the IAC driver. You don't even have to install it. Now, if you're on a Windows PC, there's something that you can download to have this exact same thing, RFTP. I think it's called RFTP MIDI. I always mess up the name, but someone could put that in the chat. Works the exact same way. The ISE driver, I'm going to open this up, and we're going to turn this on by just turning on devices online. Now, the ISE driver, just think about the ISE driver as a connection. It's like a wire or a telephone wire that you can use to send MIDI information over between two apps, all right? So I'm going to turn this on, and what we're going to do is we're going to use this connection to send MIDI information out of Prime over the ISE driver so that ProPresenter can listen to the ISE driver and receive that MIDI information. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Prime settings, and we're going to go to MIDI cues connections, and I'm going to tell Prime to send MIDI information over the IAC driver. So Prime is going to communicate over IAC driver. Now we have to tell ProPresenter now to listen to the IAC driver. I'm going to close and relaunch ProPresenter because sometimes it doesn't see the IAC driver if you turn it on later. Go to ProPresenter Preferences and go to Devices, and we're going to add one down here in the bottom left corner. It's going to be MIDI, and it's going to say Sources. Where am I listening for MIDI information? And I'm going to turn the ISE driver on. We're going to choose Auto Reconnect as well, just in case there's some sort of disconnect. And I'm going to click back and choose Connect. That's one step people always forget. Make sure you hit that Connect button. So right now, ProPresenter is listening over the ISE driver. Prime is sending out over the ISE driver. So now we've made the connection, okay? But now what we do is we need to actually put in the commands for what Prime needs for how to actually change the slides. Let's go to ProPresenter, and I'm going to click under MIDI mapping. And this shows you all of the MIDI messages that ProPresenter can receive to do certain things inside of ProPresenter. Now, this is the same really with Easy Worship, Proclaim, Media Shout, Presenter. Almost all the Presenter apps work the exact same way on this. So all of these MIDI messages will do certain things. So if I send a MIDI message 12 or C1, it's going to go to the next slide. If I want to go to the previous slide, I need to send MIDI message C# -1 or MIDI number 13. I want to trigger a specific slide number because if I'm going to be jumping around in Prime, I don't want my slides to get garbled. If you're going to be jumping around in Prime or using the repeat function or jump time, you want to trigger a specific slide number. That way your slides are always going to be in sync with each other. So to trigger a specific slide number, you have to send MIDI note 19, but then the value is the intensity of that MIDI note. So the slide number is the intensity. So if I want to trigger slide number 23, I would send MIDI note 19 at an intensity or a velocity of 23. And that would tell ProPresenter to trigger slide 23. So remember that. We're going to do 19, and then the velocity is the slide number. So let's go ahead and close this out now that we know what ProPresenter wants. And let's go ahead and add in those mappings inside of Prime. Very easy to do. I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to click on Edit, and go to Edit MIDI Cues. And in the timeline, wherever I want this, I'm going to double tap, and I'm going to send a MIDI note 19, and then the slide number. So we're going to do slide number 1. So when Prime gets to this marker right here, and I can move it around if I want, or I can right click on it to delete or double click to change it. When it gets to this marker, it's going to send that MIDI message and tell ProPresenter what to do. So let's go to verse 1. I'm going to double tap here, MIDI note 19, slide number 2. We're going to go to the verse. Okay, let's keep going. Actually, let's go ahead and press play just to make sure.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
We worship the God who is. We worship the God who evermore will be. I'm going to hit the space bar to pause. I'm going to add a MIDI note right here. MIDI note 19. We're going to go to slide number 3. Bam. Then I'm going to add another one right here for the chorus. MIDI note 19. Slide number 4. Okay, and let's go and press play.
4.
All right, right here, we're going to go to slide number 5, MIDI note 19, slide number 5. Now you'll see too, there's a lot of options here for like sending program changes, control changes. Depending on your software, if you're trying to automate lyrics or lighting or guitar pedals, you might do program changes or control changes. So just to show you that Prime can send all of those MIDI messages. Now I would go through the whole song and add all of those MIDI notes, but we don't have time for that. So let me go and just press play, and I'm going to show you
3, 4.
how it's all connected. Here we go. It's going to trigger slide number 1. You can see Pro Presenter did that.
3, 4. Verse 2, 3.
Slide
4.
1. It's all automated, hands-free. I'm not doing anything. Pretty awesome. Next slide. He opened the prison doors. He parted the raging sea. My God, he holds the victory.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
All hands-free, right? So you can automate all of your slides just like that. Now, you might be thinking, well, gosh, Matt, that's going to take a long time. Well, it probably would take me 5 to 10 minutes to do the rest of this song. But what's great is with a Loop Pro subscription, once you're done with that, I can save this to my library, add to library, and let's just call it House of the Lord MIDI cues, right? And I can save all of that arrangement and those MIDI cues right to my Prime Cloud, so I never have to do it again. All right, you probably are going to play House of the Lord at your church 50 times. Well, once you've done it once it's programmed and set up, you've got it now saved to your Prime Cloud library, and your lyrics are always going to be right. Now, what's awesome is if you repeat a section or jump to a different section, your slides are going to be in time with each other. That's why I don't do next slide, because if you do next slide, bam. So that then when you jump back to verse 1, it's going to trigger that cue again. Now, the new version of Prime that we're working on, I can't wait to show it to you guys coming up in this fall. We have done a ton of new enhancements to adding MIDI cues. There's going to be different MIDI cue lanes for lyrics, lighting, guitar pedals. It's going to be way easier to add MIDI cues. You guys are going to be really happy with what we're working on there. So just stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of updates to MIDI cues coming, and that's going to be awesome. So that's a feature of Loop Pro. That's MIDI out. If you're not a Loop Pro subscriber, make sure you just go to Become a Pro, and you can choose a plan that makes sense for you. You can always upgrade, downgrade. You can save money by paying annually. So make sure you check out the Loop Pro plans. All right, we covered a ton of stuff today in today's workshop. Ton of things. And I appreciate you guys coming. Thank you for being a part of Loop Community. If you are interested in getting 20% off a Looptimus controller or a track rig or a Looptimus Mini, you can use, for the next 48 hours, you can use the promo code ADVANCED20 at checkout. All right, so go to checkout at loopcommunity.com, type in the code in all caps, ADVANCED20, 20 the number, ADVANCED20, and that will give you 20% off all Loop Community hardware for the next 48 hours only, okay? We're doing 48 hours because I know that some of you guys need to get approval from your like supervisors and things like that. But next 48 hours, 20% off all Loop hardware. Get it now. This is your chance. ADVANCED20, all caps. You guys, thank you so much for being a part of Loop Community. Honestly, we're so thankful to have you. Loop Community is way more than a online store. We are a community. There's a reason that community is in our name. All right, we're all about a community of worship leaders who are using tracks. I would encourage you, if you haven't already, to join our Facebook group, because everybody in there is doing this kind of stuff, and they're willing to answer questions. They're willing to help. We're a small team too, so if you just want to reach out to us, we are very accessible. Just shoot us an email, support@loopcommunity.com. Give us a call, 312-LOOP, 312. Go to the Loop Community shop to get this cool new swag we got. This is our new Loop shirt, our new Loop hat. Go check it out in the shop. that had nothing to do with the community part. But hey, I just thought of it. It's always fun though to see people wearing this stuff. Anyways, really great hanging out with you guys for the past hour. Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions at all, shoot us an email. Thanks for being a part, and we'll see you next time.